Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Portsmouth Comic Con Podcast. I am your host, Luke Bugg, the Geek of Steel, and on this episode I had the great honour of speaking with comic book writer David Baillie. David is a fantastic writer, and he also helps out with bringing the fantastic comic book guests to Portsmouth Comic Con. We had a wonderful talk about passions, about comics, about Comic-Cons, the dangers of AI, and so much more. David is so passionate when it comes to comic book creating, and his knowledge is so valuable to Portsmouth Comic Con. So I had a fantastic time asking him some questions about his skills, about his talent, about his loves, and is giving me a greater respect for everything that he does for Portsmouth Comic Con. So please enjoy episode 4 of the Portsmouth Comic Con podcast with writer David Baillie. David Baillie, welcome back to the Portsmouth Comic Con podcast, sir.
It's a pleasure to be back. Thank you for having me, Luke. It's great to see you. This is I have to say, out of all the podcasts I've done, this is my favorite backdrop that you've got. It's amazing.
It's a bit obvious that it's on brand. Superman is the main guy for me. This is all nice and tidy. Everything on the other side of the camera and all the sound gear is an absolute mess. I've been cataloging all my comics. I thought I need to really go through my. I need to go through and see what I've got left.
Yeah.
And I went to a local comic shop, my new local comic shop, Empire Comics. Empire Comics in North End. So they're going to be at Comic Con as well. It's been there for a few years, and I've gone there over a few different times.
Yeah.
But they've got some new management now, and I went, I need some new bags and boards, and then went down there and found like loads of 50p and £1 comics, and I was like, okay, this is it. But what sold me was that when I went into the shop, a courier came in and they had to go next door to fill out some paperwork. And he was like, do you mind if you look after the shop for a few minutes? And I was like, yeah, yes. For a brief moment in time, David, I had my very own comic shop and I was so happy about it.
I think I was in there a couple of years ago, in North End. Is it in a sort of market arcade type?
That's it, in a little mall, just to the side.
I went in and they had
spot.
I did a story for a comic called Heavy Metal. I don't know if you've heard of Heavy Metal, but they either went bust or they transitioned management before they managed to send out comp copies. Because you write a story, they send you a couple of copies of the comic. And I was looking for it for years, but it was just difficult to find because the company was in trouble when that issue came out. And it was a story I did with a guy called Connor Boyle. And I'd just never seen it in print. And when I found it in there, I kind of geeked out. And I said to the person behind the register, "Oh, I'm in this." And she was absolutely baffled. I had to explain, "Oh, sorry, I'm not being weird.
I'm in this. This is me." But no, yeah, I went down there. And it's when you go into a shop and there's comics everywhere, you just you're like, this is my happy place. This is it. And they're going to be at the Comic Con this year. This is going to be a January episode of the Portsmouth Comic Con podcast. Yes, Happy New Year. We've gone through Christmas. We've skipped all over that stuff.
I want your Christmas.
Yes, it. So we are now in the past talking about the future because Portsmouth Comic Con is just a few short months away. I've already spoken with some fantastic guests that will be coming, and now I get to speak with you again about your craft and about the Comic Con and about everything that means so much to us all. If you can, as before, share a wonderful origin story with the listeners and watchers, David, about you.
Did I give you my origin story before?
We did, yes, but I mean, I love your. Anytime you're talking about comics and your trade, I'm always happy to hear more, David.
I wonder how much of it I can go on the record with. I mean, Joel Meadows and Andy Coleman, two really good London comic guys, helped set up the Artist Alley side of Portsmouth Comic Con. And they did they do 2 years? I think they did.
I think when 2018 was the start, they did the first 2, I believe.
And then they wanted to move on and start their own convention and do some other stuff. And we were hanging out in New York Comic Con, and we were at a gallery. Is this the story I've told you before?
I think so, but that's the one that came up. We had chatted about last time. It's a fantastic story, David. So it's fine.
So Joel had set up this amazing gallery show Oh, sorry, no, he'd set up. There was an amazing gallery show already in existence at the Society of Illustrators in Uptown New York, and he set up interviews at the show with people who had work at the show, and it was Bill Sienkiewicz. Oh my God, I can't even remember who was there, but like some incredible stuff. But I was mostly geeking out over, you know, the Frank Whiteley. I think it's the first issue of Batman he did with Grant Morrison. There's a car
Yes.
chase, and all the original art was on the walls. And Joel was trying to have a conversation with me, and all I could concentrate on was there's a Batmobile skid, and Frank does this amazing thing that I think he picked up from Akira, where the rear tail light sort of smears across the panel. And I was like, no, but you have to look at this. And he was like, no, but you have to listen to my story about Portsmouth Comic Con. I was like, yeah, I'll come next year, don't worry. And he said, well, moving on. And I was like, wow. Well, whoever gets that gig next is in for a treat, because that's a really fun gig. It's a great convention, great spot, and it's a perfect number of guests. It's a nice. I've talked to people who run bigger conventions and smaller conventions, and there's a lot of trouble. You sort of a big convention, you struggle to sort of curate the experience, and a smaller convention, everyone in the world asks if you can have a spot, and it just feels terrible because you're saying no to so many people. But with Portsmouth, you got 20 people in a fantastic space, and that felt like a really manageable thing. And he wasn't asking me if I wanted the job, but I stopped looking at Frank Whiteley's page and immediately asked if he could put me in touch with the Portsmouth guys. It takes a lot to make me look away from a Frank Whiteley page.
And that's the thing. That's one of the things that blew my mind about year one at Portsmouth Comic Con, is that they got Frank to appear. And when I heard that name, like at a con in my hometown, I was like, this is meant to be. And I took a fair few things for him to get signed that are still
nice.
My prized possessions, including it's right here. I think I showed this one before. Yeah. So this is my icebreaker at cons, where if somebody has written or drawn for Superman, I say, could you please sign my Action Comics #1?
Oh, right.
So
you got Tim Sale on there. Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
Chris Weston. I recognise a few of those, yeah.
It's the list is growing. There is still room on there. There's a few more that I need to get added to it. But it's
is that Alan? Do you have Alan Moore on the front there?
Not Alan Moore. I wish I had Alan Moore. But I mean, I've got the list. I've got. So but I think Frank was one of the first people to sign it.
Brilliant.
And he spent most of the time just flicking through the pages and seeing what was going on in there. So no.
I've only held one in Mylor when I got to visit the DC offices a few years ago. Before they moved out in New York, they have a sort of museum, and they give you a tour of the museum if it's your first time in the office. And I got to hold. Look, tell me if these are all stories I've told you before.
No, I think we talked about, but I mean, like the DC Comics it's on my bucket list of places to go to.
Yeah.
I had some friends go when it was in New York, and now I've had a few friends that have gone now it's out in LA. So
I haven't been to the LA place at all.
It's just I've seen pictures of they've got a Clark Kent in like the main lobby, just sit down and read. I was like, I need to go. Like, that is my Disney World.
It did feel like Disney World. Well, hopefully I'm not giving you any spoilers, but yeah, Clark Kent was in the lobby when it was in New York. Then you go in, and I got to hold first Superman, first Detective Comics, first Batman, but the covers. So I got to hold the first Detective Comics, but the cover's missing, and they were trying to track down a better copy. But I got to hold the first, the first appearance of Batman. Got to see Nicolas Cage's rubber bust for Superman. So he's got the hair, he's got the costume on. This is before the Flash movie, so no one had seen. I felt like I was getting like a secret glimpse of Nick Cage.
Well, you did, because I mean, they only had sort of some of the sketch designs, and
I wasn't sure if I'd seen a photograph for that before, but it felt like a real fine baseball type thing. It was cool.
To see that is like I mean, I saw pictures and some sketches when there was a DC Heroes tour in London a few years ago, but to see that iconic suit that never was almost in the flesh was fantastic. But no, so this is this was a copy, so this is not, goodness me, an original, but I mean, I'd be scared to even take this out of the bag. But DC released this a few years ago.
I remember, it's lovely.
It's a fantastic print, and I mean hopefully one day I will get to at least hold an original copy. But for me, this comic means so much to the world of comics and pop culture. I like to go and get that signed by as many as possible. So yeah, that was 2018 when I was like, right, this con is here now, and I'm so glad that each year it came back, and all the heroes behind the scenes are continuing to bring back powerful, brilliant talent to this event to talk about comics and talk about creativity and to talk about passions, which is what a Comic Con is all about. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of the things I talk to the guys about every year, because I write a sort of report for them, not just on Portsmouth and now Hastings as well, the sort of cousin
Yes.
convention, but on Comic Cons in general, the general state of what Comic Cons are doing in the UK, what the space is like, and I feel like at the moment the really great thing about Comic Cons is it's giving people a space to be themselves unapologetically and safe in the knowledge that no one's gonna, make fun of them or say, "Oh, that's a bit weird." Everyone's just being themselves, and it's really nice. I really enjoy that.
And that's, again, it's something that I've noticed over the years. I mean, in 2018, I was aware what a Comic Con was, but I think a lot of people in Portsmouth and the surrounding area didn't know what a Comic Con was. But now, this event, and again with Hastings, they're putting their names on the map for Comic Cons, because I've seen a lot of other events pretty much not like copying ideas, but certainly, they're taking a few ideas from what Portsmouth Comic Con are doing and making their events a success as well. Because Nick
good,
and
I
Kurt,
suppose, because
that's it.
That's good, right?
I want every town to have a Comic Con. I want there to be comics everywhere, because it's fun. It's creating the future and funding the future of comics and comic creation. And when people understand what a passion can really be, you can see that at this Comic Con, because there are so many different, again, aspects and that inclusivity where everyone is welcome, and you learn new things and you discover new hobbies and passions. And there's also that nostalgic element where you see things that you thought you had forgotten about, and you share those things with friends and family, and it makes it such a fun event. And again, walking around it, as you've seen over the years, there's literally something around every corner that is new, fun, and engaging. But for me, that, as it's comics, and I'm always there for the comics, the artist alley and the panels that Portsmouth Comic Con put on, I pretty much try and handle my schedule around it to make sure that I don't miss anything. What is it about this event you feel that has got such a close connection with comics, David?
There's something magical about a combination of the sort of size of the event, because Comic Cons can be too small or too big, like I said. The space that it happens in, the Guildhall is quite a magical space. It's quite difficult to find rooms sometimes, and I feel like that little bit of that little bit of peril. Oh, I'm trying to catch a panel. Oh, but I can't cross this floor. It's a little bit like an escape room sometimes.
Yes.
And the lovely outdoor space in the stage, it's just a really nice combination of all the stuff going on. It feels great, and that lends itself to whether you're into cosplay, whether you're into comics, whether you're into movies, whether you're into just Superman or Superman and Batman and the Marvel stuff and the video games. I feel like it's a combination of the space and the energy within the space. That's what I'm gonna say. That really lends itself to geeking out in whatever way you want to geek out. I think that's very cool.
And it is that space that helps out. And as you said, it's hard to tick all the boxes for a Comic Con. As you said, I've been the biggest con that I went to was 2024. I went out to San Diego Comic Con.
Wow.
But it was my first time going out there. I was overwhelmed. I didn't know what was going to happen, but got there. The organization was fantastic. I got my pass. I got my lanyard. I walked the floor, which took about like the whole day. It was like the biggest convention that I've ever been to, and it was great. It was an experience, and I've ticked that off the bucket list now. I would like to go back again one year, but I was trying to think, well, what could San Diego, what elements could Portsmouth Comic Con take and add to theirs to make it as special. And I thought it doesn't really need to do too much because it already ticks off those boxes. It's got comics, it's got fandoms, it's got toys and comics from different ends of the price scale, and it's got everything. And it's not you're not walking 20,000 steps to get from point A to point B. It's got it all there.
That's what I mean. I feel like because I quite like walking a big convention like New York or San Diego. I haven't done San Diego for a few years, but I like taking a few days to wander about and find my feet. But most people don't want to walk 40,000 steps a day just to have a look at some, to know where the Alex Toast pages are and to know where the cheap back issues are.
Yes.
Where they're still there with popcorn. Whereas I'm there for work, so I don't mind walking for the full day. But yeah, I think for most people, this is the perfect sized convention. One thing I would request is the last time I was at San Diego, I went to quite a lot of poolside parties. I feel like Portsmouth could have more poolside parties. We've got the sunshine.
We've got the sunshine. Okay,
yeah.
Over the years they've had the perfect weather for the weekend of it. I'll have a word with Nick and Kurt. We haven't got many poolside parties in Portsmouth. We've got Hillsy Lido. I could try and get that sorted out for you.
Okay. Well, this is the start of that conversation.
We can get that sorted out.
Let's get some sort of party happening. How far of a walk is it from
It's not fun. We can get some buses to take us. We can sort of convoy out. Because Paul from Express FM, we were talking about this a few years ago. This is what we talk about passions, is you find something out about people. His big passion is Jaws. He loves the original Jaws films and all the sequels.
Yeah.
And one of his goals, which was a fantastic idea, was to get Canoe Lake, fill it with giant inflatables, and then you go onto the water and on a massive projection screen you watch the original film. And I was like, that's just fantastic. And that's like possibly people maybe a few remote controlled fins going through the water just to make it a bit more immersive. That's something that I did in LA. It was out of my biggest comfort zones ever. I ended up at a rooftop party and I was like, I don't know, am I supposed to be here? Am I wearing the right outfit? I've come here for the comics. This is completely... And it was amazing. There were people on stilts. There were sort of pop artists and rappers performing, and I was like, this is again another side of the comics world that I've never seen before. And it's like, do you think you can see what this is, $1 billion industry when there's got such different levels of creativity and fandom behind it. But I would, even though Portsmouth is 20 minutes away for the Comic-Con, I would travel the world to come back to this event each year. It's why I've been so proud to work with Nick and Kurt and host the podcast and to talk more about it, because comics is a wonderful aspect of the event, but there's so much more there as well, as you've said. But let's talk a bit more about some of the panels that you've seen at the event over the years and what people can expect to see possibly this year as well.
I always love talking to... So I do a series of panels over the weekend called Meet the Artists, and I ask the artists to send me a couple of pages that they feel like they can talk about and drill down into an aspect of their craft. And I go out my way to find artists for Artist Alley who are very articulate, and they're very... Because everyone's passionate about their work, but not everyone can articulate that. Not everyone can express that. And everyone who's been to Portsmouth, over the last 9 years, 8 years, 7 years, however many years it's been. Did you say 2018?
2018, yeah. It's nearly coming up for the decade. I'm sure they're planning something big for that one as well. Oh,
yeah. Discussions have already begun. Yeah, I caught Nick and Kurt talking about it recently. But everyone who's there can talk about their craft and talk about their work. And I feel like I know this is something I've said before, but I'm really passionate about reaching out to upcoming comic creators, people who've maybe only drawn a page, because having this, like you said, on your doorstep is an absolute gift for anyone who wants to make comics, whether that's professionally or recreationally. Anyone with artistic aspirations at all, to have an event like this on your doorstep is incredible. I would have loved to have had this as a teenager. I had to really travel to find a comic. Back in the day when I was a teenager, there was one comic convention in the country every year. And, if you missed it, you had to wait, a full 12 months. Now they're everywhere, like you said.
Yes.
And some are big, some are small. Some have great comic artists. Some have less, as you mentioned earlier, some have less comic content. But to have a convention of this size with loads of comic stuff there, loads of comic creators there, like you said, the panels where people were talking about their passions, their craft, how to get into the business. Just I feel like every Portsmouth Comic Con, and Hastings was the same. There are so many. It's not even secrets being shared, but if you could have someone transcribing all the tips that are being given from the stages, it'd make an incredible book of a guide how to get into comics and stay in comics and make comics, and it's so good.
It feels that's how it feels. It does feel like you're looking behind the curtain, as it were. You're getting inside information about why this career means so much to so many artists and writers around the world. And to be able to just, again, sometimes it's fun just to walk around Artist Alley and see people sketching or creating commissions for people. But it's when you just hear or you overhear conversations and questions being answered about comics, about creating, about, you had this idea. How did you come up with the art for this panel, or how did you come up with the look for this costume? And it's thinking, this is like, you know, it's almost like a director's commentary, but live and in person, and you get to ask these questions, but more importantly, you get to speak with people that are so passionate about it. You get a real closer connection to that hero or story that you love, and that's why the panels have always been such a fantastic part of there to go and enjoy that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what will be happening this year, and I should be again creating a very fine schedule so I don't miss anything out this year.
That's what I do at comic conventions as well. When I'm going around, it's like, well, I can't miss this 3:00.
That's it. I've got this needs to go here. So luckily I'm allowed to. I get the magical press pass nice and early in the morning. I'm normally in the door straight away, planning my floor map, where I need to be, where I've got to be for certain times. But then I'll have a quick look at sort of what people are selling. I'm thinking, right, okay, let's just start doing the geek maths in my head and seeing how much budget I've got left for the weekend. But it's fun because over the years, some traders have returned and they know that I'm after the more niche Superman stuff. So there was a booth last year, again, from another local company that sell sort of everything from the geek fandoms. And they brought in extra Superman stuff, and they went home on the Saturday and came back more on the Sunday. I think it was more of a business move on their end, which was very clever. Because I thought, I have to buy it now because you've gone and picked this out just for me. So I've got quite a few Funko Pops around me. They're a fun thing to collect. But over the years, at some cons, it's all you can see is Funko Pops on every single table. But I think, again, with the organisation behind the scenes, is that they don't just let everybody in with a table to sell. There is a process, and they want quality over quantity, which is a fantastic thing. And what I love is seeing the more interesting items, the artwork, the prints, the postcards, and the stickers, which is why you get the Artist Alley, but you also get more personal zones around the con where people are, again, displaying their art, their hard work, what really matters to them. And something that I'm so proud to see with Portsmouth Comic Con is that recently they have stated that there will be pretty much, well, they're saying zero AI at Portsmouth Comic Con, which is just a fantastic thing to see, to have that proudly on display. I've seen some events around the world where they have discovered that people are using that and selling AI art and, you know, just saying, sorry, you're out the door sort of thing, which is passionate to see.
Yeah, no, it's great, and you know, the conversation about AI is quite explosive at the moment. Everyone's, you know, a lot of people are very angry about the business practices of the big AI companies. So yeah, it makes perfect sense to me. And you know, if you're an artist who's been working hard on your craft, you've got a big pile of original art to sell, and then the person next to you has AI generated a bunch of stuff that perhaps some in the general public can't spot, you know, immediately that it's AI. That must be infuriating. So like you said, I think there was a convention in the States where they had to turf out an AI. I'm going to put artists in quotes because they're not. They're an AI prompt writer.
So that's it.
And you just have to do your best to avoid that sort of stuff. So yeah, that statement was absolutely perfect. Well done to Kurt and Nick.
there's a fantastic move on their part for it. And I mean, again, I don't like to interrupt the artist when they are creating their work, but to sort of just to be able to sometimes sit back, take a bit of a breather, and watch somebody do a sketch or a commission.
It's one of my favorite things. I actually liked what you said earlier about how you overhear people asking, like, sort of, it's like, that's my favorite bit. Sometimes I wear a mask and a cap, not because I'm recognized, but, so that I'm definitely not recognized. I just listen to the conversations that are happening while someone's doing a commission. So, that's fantastic. And it is like a secret director's commentary, because people are curious about the things that you're curious about yourself.
It's when though it's the art that always gets me at Comic Cons. It's if I see an original print or a commission slot available, I was like, oh, okay, there goes the budget. I need to either see what you've got, because technically, I mean, I'm never going to sell any of my comic work, so it's never going to be an investment for me, because I'm not going to get rid of it. But last year, he's been back a few times now. Is Anti Phantom that works on the Beano.
And he's great.
It's such a joy to speak with someone again that is local as well.
Yeah.
So he was at a smaller little artist convention quite a few years ago, and I went along with my niece, who was just at the time I was pushing her on. So, Rod, why don't you maybe read a couple of issues of the Beano? Let's start you on the ground. Let's start with some classics. And we got to go and see Andy create some artwork, and he did a commission of Dennis and Nasher and Nipper. I was like, this is so cool. And I went and had a chat with Andy last year after he was a guest on the podcast. And I was like, well, could you possibly do a Superman in the style of your Beano artwork? I was like, I'm not sure if anyone's asked for that before, but it was just a classic Superman pose, but in the Beano style. And it's those commissions that I love. It's the niche things that the artists get a kick out of creating. What some of your favorite pieces that you've managed to nab from cons over the years, David?
Right. Well, one of my favorite pieces that I don't own, but someone who was there last year got a commission from Andy. I think it was from Andy. Definitely one of the. I think it was from Andy.
Okay.
And it was. Have you ever heard that there's a comedian called Daniel Kitson? He's a bit niche, a bit underground, but he did a theatre show. Again, we're getting more and more niche, called Tree.
We love this.
With a guy called Tim Key, who you've maybe heard of. Tim Key's a bigger name. So this person wants the commission of Daniel Kitson and Tim Key by a tree, and that is it's a beautiful, beautiful piece of work, but it's so niche it would not have existed without this person requesting it. I mean, that's fantastic.
And that's the sort of prompts that we need, not AI prompts. We need real prompts given to the artist that can create something truly
this piece
magical.
Of art that would not exist otherwise. I think one of my favorite things. It's rolled up there. Let me see. Let me just have a quick look.
Okay. We're doing show and tell. We like this because I can see all your things. I can see everything in the background, and I'm loving all your items that I can see too.
I think I have it here. There's a comic artist called Disraeli. I can't find it. I recently shuffled all the artwork in my office. I can't find this one. Okay. Disraeli drew a really weird Judge Dredd head. So I think it was in Inktober. So Inktober is an online movement to draw with ink, get your fingers inky in October, and you draw a different piece every day, and sometimes there's a prompt. And I don't think he had prompts that year, but he brought all his Inktober pieces to Thought Bubble a couple of years ago, and one of them was just a weird Judge Dredd. He tried to draw the way Judge Dredd's helmet looked in the late 70s, 1977, when he first showed up. Kind of missed it a little bit, but came up with this funky new design. And it's the only one that exists. And it's somewhere. I shuffled it off the wall recently to find, hang on a second, it might be here.
There we go. This is what I love about a collector. There's we know we've got a mind palace of things where we know where every single thing is. We just sometimes forget where those rooms are.
Got it.
Good
right.
Man.
So there. Isn't that lovely?
It's almost it's got elements of like the old sort of the B-50, like the aliens in the old 50s movies. It's got that dome curve to it.
Yeah.
Big moth eyes as well. Loving that. But again, you don't get And it's a one of one. That's what I love.
It's a one of one.
One of one.
And this really works digitally. So speaking of working digitally, so it's a real pleasure to get a piece of work that has ink on it, because a lot of the time, I know a couple of friends of mine have written stories he's drawn, and they'll ask if they can buy the original artwork without knowing he works digitally, and he says, "Well, here's a file," and that's so. This is, speaking of which, that's what happened here. This is a previous Portsmouth guest, Anna Moritsova. It's a story we worked on together. But she works digitally, so it's a digital print. But I picked this up at Portsmouth last year, maybe, or the year before when she was here. So
it's easily done to sort of. I'm just thinking, wait, I'll come back later on. If it's still there, then I'll buy it. But I've done that a few times where I've had buyer's regret, and I've gone back and it wasn't there.
Yeah.
There was a gorgeous original Iron Giant action figure, still in the pack.
Yeah.
I was like, well, that's £25. That's really cheap. I went back later on. I was like, it had gone.
Of course, it's gone.
Well, I'm going to have to sort of, buy something else now to get over it, sort of thing. Which is the easiest thing to do. But that's normally when I've done all my duties, as it were. I have about 2 hours left at the end of the con where I will go around and just pick up all the pieces that I've reserved, and then just go home with sacks and sacks and be sad until the next year when Portsmouth Comic Con arrives.
Well, this is something I was talking to with an artist at Hastings called Dennis Menhier. I don't know if you got to chat to him at Hastings, but he's a really cool guy. We're hoping he can make it to Portsmouth next year. And not to jump any announcements.
No, of course.
But after Hastings, because Hastings is right beside the beach, and I sort of went across the main road and just lay on the beach for 10 minutes, and it was quite sunny, and I was just sort of letting the sea air roll over me, sort of taking a deep breath and sort of taking in how the weekend had gone, seeing, just thinking it through. And when I went back, he spotted, because there's a lot of mixed emotions there, and he said, "Oh, it's post-con blues," and I'd never heard that before. I was like, "Oh yeah, of course, it makes perfect sense. Your nervous system's so excited and taking in all this, sensory overload, and then it's over, and it does feel a bit like the blues."
And it's that moment where I think I get to have so much fun with the podcast and speaking with people before the event goes out, and then that weekend, even though it goes on from morning till early evening, it goes by in a flash. That's why, for me, the organisation of it and making sure that you don't miss a certain event, or you don't miss a panel, you don't miss a signing, and then sort of 4 or 5 o'clock hits on that Sunday, and you think, it's not a relief or weight off your shoulders. It's just like, oh, it's all over now. I've got to wait another year. But it's one of my favourite moments is when sort of Nick and Kurt come over the tannoys at the end of the week saying, your tickets are available now for next year's con. Like, yes, we live to fight another day. It's returning once more.
Yeah, no, I can't remember which convention I was at recently. Oh, it was Thought Bubble a few weeks ago, and they did a Tannoy announcement, which they may have stolen from Nick and Kurt, where they said, "Thank you for coming to Thought Bubble, and we'll see you next year." And like "we'll see you next year" sort of filled me with a little bit of joy. I was like, "Oh, yeah, hopefully."
And that's it. That's sometimes the only sort of joy and hope that we need, is just a little glimmer of a sparkle for some joy to come back into our lives. And again, like that moment you had on the beach, I like to sort of try and find at least some time to sit down on the Guildhall steps or somewhere where there's a lot of foot traffic, to watch people come and go, to experience the event, to see. I think you can often see when it's somebody's first time going to a con, when they're sort of a veteran, as it were. We can take it all in and not get too overwhelmed. But it's sort of when it's sometimes first time going, and they see all these cosplayers, and they see just sort of characters from books and TV and film come to life. It's the perfect place to be. And it's why, if I can sort of say to someone, if it's your first time going to a con, make it Portsmouth, because you're going to make sure everything else you're going to sort of relate to this event. What is it you think that is sort of some of the magic that Portsmouth Comic Con that makes it stand out from the crowd?
Do you know what one of the things? I mean, we've mentioned Nick and Kurt. one of the things that does make it stand out from all the other conventions I've attended, as a fan, as a professional, in whatever capacity, is the team. The team behind the scenes are so good. Because they know how to run events, not just Comic Cons. They know how to run events. So when in the very rare instance of something going wrong, they know how to fix it very quickly sometimes without anyone noticing. And I feel like that smoothness adds to the sense of safety and the sense of everything's fine. Just continue being yourself. Everything's going to be okay. And so I think the team and the energy of the team, the enthusiasm of the team. Nick and Kurt have this brainstorming session every year where they go away for a day and they're like, right, we need to find new things to bring next year. What's it going to be? That all of that energy and excitement. That's what makes Portsmouth very, very different to other events for me. And I say that because before I was involved, I showed up just as a fan, and I loved it from then. So that's not me saying it because I'm involved. That's me saying it because I witnessed it as a bystander, as a civilian.
That's it. It's seeing it grow, but still not change its core beliefs of what a Comic-Con is supposed to be. It's supposed to be about passion, inclusivity, artwork, enjoying the things that you love. And so 2018, I got the press release. I sort of sent them an email saying, look, this is who I am. I'm from the area. What can I do to help? And I was like, well, let's see how this event goes. We can only find out. And just to be a little bit behind the scenes back then and then to experience it. But now to see it grow over the years and see it again, it's impossible to make that place any bigger, but they still find ways to find new areas, to make changes, to make it smooth running or to get the traffic a bit more controlled around a certain area. Yeah. And it's so, again, for me, Portsmouth, I'm always proud to say I'm from Portsmouth. We've got a fantastic Navy history. We've got a fantastic military history, musical history, and now we've got the Comic-Con. We have Victorious each year, and now we've got Portsmouth Comic Con. Things that are putting ourselves on the map. So I'm hoping next year that somehow Portsmouth Comic Con can make it to Victorious with a mini booth where they can sort of have at least 2 Comic Cons a year. Sorry, Nick and Kurt, giving you even more work. Sorry, boys. I'll help out. I promise. But it's an event that, again, I've got to speak with the team and people working behind the scenes, and there's often a moment at the end of the con where everyone's on the steps dancing, having fun, having a little geek out session, and it really is. It's cheesy to say it, but it does feel like a family at Portsmouth Guildhall because they care about every single person that comes through that gate and goes home at the end of the day. It's once you step into Portsmouth Comic Con, it feels like you are part of something very, very special, which is why, again, I can't wait for a few months' time and everything that you're secretly planning behind the scenes, David. Now, I've got some things that I'm going to be coming on this year that I will need you to be signing.
Frankie, of course, yeah. So, I do like signing things at Portsmouth because I'm usually busy with other stuff, and someone will say, "Can you sign this?" So yeah, I'll always take a few minutes to stop. So and sign, yes, of course.
I've got my Sharpie ready now. We talked a little bit about Scotland before and how you've got such passion for that, even that so that it does get involved in Red Thorn. Tell me a little bit more about that if you can, because I'd love to know more about these characters in this book.
Well, it came about years ago. There was So Vertigo's coming back this year, but when I was a teenager, Vertigo was the only place you could go for when you graduate from reading comics as a teenager. You say, well, is there something specifically targeted to me after that point? And Vertigo was the place to go. 2000 AD was a little bit older sometimes, but not consistently so. So I, as a comic creator, I always wanted to work for 2000 AD and Vertigo, and this was my chance. The editor in chief at the time was called Shelley Bond, and she asked me to pitch, and she told me to find a story that keeps me awake at night. And I have no trouble sleeping at night. I didn't tell her that at the time. But I went through 100 ideas, and I found, just like we were talking about before, you have to find your passion. You're sort of filtering out. Well, I love this, but this, I'm thinking about this all the time. and there was loads of But my family, so I'm from between Edinburgh and Glasgow, but my mother's side of the family are all from Glasgow, and there's so much mythology and lore from Glasgow, and it's not just mythological creatures. It's the lore of um you know anecdotal, these apocryphal stories that pass from family to family. This happened when they were building ships. All this stuff. There's just a massive amount of history in that city that I felt hadn't really been explored in the way that Edinburgh had been um, excavated for fiction.
Yes.
And even just, I knew I was in the right place when I went to a library in Glasgow to research. I was like, well, I'll find some stuff that hasn't been seen or used in stories. And no matter how far back I went, there was great material, great stories, even back to the stories about how St. Kentigern had founded Glasgow. Even all that stuff, all the way back to the myth number 0 was all really good stuff. And the problem was I couldn't fit it all into 13 issues. That was the only problem I had with that comic. So I was absolutely delighted to get that in the page. Worked with a fabulous artist called Megan Hetrick out in Atlanta. She came over. We did signings in Glasgow, Edinburgh, Leeds. We did a couple in London. But when she was in Glasgow, she spent a few days there, just taking photographs of the rain-soaked streets, getting a feel for all the weird architecture. Oh, it's fabulous! It was fabulous. It was a really good gig. I always say, it didn't sell millions, but we did get one more issue than Watchmen. Watchmen's 12, Red Thorn is 13. So I think we win.
You take that to the bank.
Exactly. Fans still email me and Megan, ask us questions, years after the final issue came out, and people are always trying to make it into TV or films. So people still love it. It fills my heart with joy that people do still love it. I signed a couple at MCM a couple of months ago. Someone stopped me on the floor and asked me to sign them. So it's great.
And I think, if you're from that part of the world, as it were, where a comic is set, it's normally your LAs or your Londons or your New Yorks.
Yeah.
That's the quote cool places where comics are set. But to have a story set in your hometown or somewhere that and you recognize buildings and you recognize street names, it makes it so much more special for it. I know Portsmouth has appeared in a few comics and stories over the years, especially lots of books, but it's when you see a building that you wouldn't normally recognize, think, oh, I know where that is. That's down by the old pub. That's what makes it magic. So again, for you, it's combining those passions for that part of your life with storytelling as well, which is magical. And I hope to get you more speak about that at the Comic Con this year as well, because again, it's the passions that you see come out of people when they talk about something that means something to them. So I'm looking forward to that, and looking forward again. You've not revealed too many secrets. Nick and Kurt will be happy about that.
Nick and Kurt, they're good guys until they're tough, and they're tough about me. They're tough about me spilling secrets before the official press releases. But I just want to tell you, there are some really great guests signed up, and 99% signed up for next year. So I think you're going to be happy. I think there's going to be you're going to be watching some great artists draw and some great writers waffle.
And that's the thing. That's the part when I love. It's that moment where you just get to. For me, I love when I'm not reading, I'm listening to podcasts, I'm watching the director's commentaries, I'm learning more about the thing that I enjoy.
Yeah.
So to be able, as you said, to be able to just listen to someone talk about a story that you've enjoyed and loved and read time and time again, it gives you a closer connection to that piece of creativity, and it gives a closer look behind the scenes and makes it more personal to you. And those moments of walking around Artist Alley and just learning more and listening into people's questions, think, oh, that's a really good question. I'm gonna adapt that the next time I'm speaking with someone as well. But that is what, for me, especially with Artist Alley at a Comic-Con and the panels, and especially with Portsmouth Comic Con, with not only with Speaker's Corner of Express FM, where there's panels happening all weekend, you can go off to these fantastic sort of quite regal rooms of the Portsmouth Guild Hall, and you see these artists and writers sitting almost in a throne as they sit down and speak across the microphones talking about comics. It's a magical place to be, and again, you know, it's part of the ticket price. All the panels, pretty much everything. It's something that I love about the con is the fact that your ticket price is it. That's your ticket in.
You don't
You
need
can
to.
buy
You don't,
things,
really
of
don't need to
course.
spend. Yeah, but you don't need
No.
to
It's all
enjoy
there.
everything. Yeah.
It's all there, and there is so much going on over the whole weekend. So yes, that's my advice to you all: is make sure that you have a clipboard and a timetable highlighted with lots of different colours, so you know where to be. And always make sure to say hello to Nick and Kurt when you see them running around the con, because even though we do,
I'm sure they'll appreciate that.
we do a lot of walking at these events, but Nick and Kurt do about 5 times as much because they run around the whole event. If you see anybody with a Portsmouth Comic Con t-shirt on, give them a high five, give them a fist bump, let them know that they are doing heroes' work. Oh, thank you so much for your time again today, David.
Thank you for having me, Luke.
Great to speak with you about your passions and about Portsmouth Comic Con. Where can people find you online, sir, and keep up to date with everything you are up to?
I have a website, davidbaillie.net. My surname's difficult to spell, but if you Google it, Google will correct you. But davidbaillie.net, and I have links to things on there, upcoming stories, and that's usually the best place to. I try to do as many interviews as I can when I have new stuff coming out, but I'm trying to link them all on the website. You know what it's like. Social media is so broken at the moment. There's small fiefdoms everywhere. So website. We're back to websites, unfortunately.
That's fine. Websites will always work, and there will be a link to yours in this podcast and video as well, David.
Thank you very much.
Right. Well, I'm looking forward to the 2nd and 3rd of May. It's going to be a fantastic weekend,
Me too.
and I can't wait to see what magic you help bring with all the rest of the team. So, David, thank you for your time, and we'll see you soon.
I'll see you soon. Look forward to it.
And that was episode 4. David, thank you so much for your time and your hard work over the years that you have done for Portsmouth Comic Con. I can't wait to see what you do for this year's event and for the events in the future. You can keep up to date with everything David is doing at davidbaillie.net, and that link is below. And don't forget, get your tickets for this event at portsmouthcomiccon.com. I have been your host, Luke Bugg, the Geek of Steel, and I'll be back very soon with a brand new episode of the Portsmouth Comic Con Podcast.